Great.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
So, hi everyone.
Hello, ma'am.
Welcome you all to the October session. And
Great. Come on.
today, about hi everyone. So
Hello, ma'am.
let's
Welcome
put on
you
mute.
all
To the October session. And great. So to avoid any noises, we all will be muted, and only one speaker would speak at a time. A lot of people, when we sent out the email about the webinars, every time someone has a curiosity that what OWASP Women in AppSec or InfoSec Girls is all about. So InfoSec Girls and OWASP VR is a community for women wherein we collaborate and bring together, bring new talent on the floor, wherein the women who wants to come and speak up but they don't get a platform or they're really shy, we make them comfortable and let them speak virtually to all the global audiences. And this is the platform which lets women train other women to come forward and help the bigger community. Apart from this, we have been giving trainings at multiple conferences. We have given training at AppSec USA, Europe, Nalcon, B-Sides Delhi, Cookon. So probably we would be collaborating more with different geographical locations and more women, not just the VIA officers, but the other women participants who wants to collaborate, come forward and share their knowledge with other women. That's about VIA. But I also would like to share my screen, wherein I would be telling you that how you can be part of Women in AppSec and InfoSec Girls. Oh, my screen looks a little blurry. And I'll just, okay. Perfect. Okay. This is the Women in AppSec OWASP.org page, wherein you can scroll through it, all the information about the VIA officers, about the activities that we do. Find us will say about the email list, Twitter handle, and the Slack channel. About the purpose, you can see what all things we contribute to, what's our motive and what's our purpose, then how you can be a member of a WASP, what's the procedure to become a VIA officer. All the details are there. Now what I'll do is I'll hand over to one of our speakers. I'll first introduce you to both the speakers. We have our first speaker, Shreya. She'll be talking about the iOS pen testing. Then we have Jasmin. She'll be talking about web app pen testing basics. So both the amazing speakers. I'll just hand over to Shreya so that she can take it forward. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Hello. Can you tell me, am I audible? Okay.
Okay. Yes, you are audible, Shreya. You can go ahead and start your session.
Okay. So can you all see my screen? Can you please? Okay, fine.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So let's start off with the session. So today I'll be presenting on router pawning using Bus Pirate. So very first, let me explain my topic. That is the topic mentioned IoT pen testing. So here IoT is my router device and pawning is that I'll be controlling it using Bus Pirate. That's the hardware tool. Okay. So moving ahead about me. And the Null Bhopal chapter lead and a cybersecurity enthusiast. And you can follow me at Shreya Pohekar. And the overview of what I'll be covering today. The session mostly revolves around the UART protocol, and then we'll be identifying the UART ports in the router. Then I'll be introducing you to the bus pirate, and then how to connect the router to the bus pirate. And we are using Putty as my software communicating medium. And then finally, I'll be getting the shell out of the router. Okay. Requirement, I'll be demonstrating it after my session gets over. It's just a 5-minute demonstration session. So for that, I'm using a D-Link router and a Bus Pirate version 4 and a few of connecting wires and Putty as a software. So the overall objective of the walkthrough means, okay, the very first thing that when we do IoT pen testing, the very first thing we do is analyzing the firmware that the device contains. So the very means you can get firmware by just Googling and typing in the device name and the model number, and you just get the firmware. But what if the vendor do not make the firmware available? Or if it's like you want to test on some newly updated firmware, but the older versions are only present. So in that case, you need to have the physical access to the device, and with that, you can just directly get the firmware out of it. So when you have the physical access to the device, you just means you without knowing any password or something like that, you just get the file system of the router. So that's something pretty amazing when you have the physical access to the device. So that's the objective of this walkthrough. And then I'll start with the overall concept being used here. So the router is a device that has UART port. So UART is not a protocol, it's like a standalone IC. So UART, as you all might be knowing, that it works on serial communication and it's used for mainly receiving and transmitting. Okay. So UART is Universal Asynchronous Receiver and Transmitter. And as the picture shows, the data bus transfers the parallel data, and the UART1 converts that parallel into the serial data and then transmit the bits one by one. And then UART2 receives, and then after receiving, it just converts the data back into the parallel form and it's further being transmitted. So here the diagram, the below diagram shows in the packet in which the data is being transmitted. So I'll explain you that. So the terminology used in UART is the start bit, means since UART is a asynchronous transmission, means it follows asynchronous transmission, means the UART1 and UART2 are not synchronized by a single clock. Means if they are not synchronized, then the receiving UART must know that when the transmitter wants to transmit something. So for that, we use the start bit. So what is my start bit is, when start bit is encountered, the voltage is pulled from low to high clock cycle. From high to low clock cycle. So in that, the receiver get to know that transmitter is initiating the transmission. So after sending the start bit, the actual data, that is the data frame, that is being sent. Okay. So next we have the parity. Parity is added to the data frame in order to check for error, any kind of error. Like error can be due to baud mismatch, or it can be due to some electrical noises. So in order to just determine the error, we can add the parity bits, but it's optional. If you want, you can add. If you don't want, there is no need. Then the last one is the stop bit. So the stop bit determines that, okay, now the transmitter has stopped the transmission. So in that case, the voltage is again pulled to high so that the receiver gets to know that, okay, now the transmission has ended. Now, this was the basic terminology of the UART that, and it's sufficient to know for this particular demonstration. So this is the screenshot of the router that I used for this demonstration. And you can see in the diagram that it has got so many headers like these four, these 12, and many other, means somewhere here, and means I don't know, means I'm just first time doing it, suppose, and I don't know which are the UART ports here. So there is a just basic information about UART ports that in most cases these ports are present close enough, and there are four UART ports. So the labelings are VCC, ground, transmitter, and the receiver. So in D-Link router, I was lucky enough that I got it closed enough, but I found in some routers that they were scattered across the routers. So we need to identify that which one is the UART port. So, okay, now in this case, like I found out that these four are my UART ports, but still I don't know that which one is my ground, which one is my transmitter, receiver, and the VCC. So for that we need to find out using some test. So for that we use a multimeter, and the test we perform is the continuity test and the voltage test. So the continuity test is used for finding out the ground, and the voltage test is used for finding the rest three pins. So what we do is, as you can see here, the this is the continuity mode, and what we do, that we put the one pin of the multimeter to any metallic surface and the another pin to the broken headers. So the header that produces a beep sound on being touched is my ground. So it's a very easy way to determine ground, and similar is for voltage also for VCC. um, just rotate this rotor to the 2 volts, and as we have find out the ground, so the next thing to do is just to put one pin of the multimeter on the ground and the next pin on the unidentified ports. So the port that produces constant high voltage, that is 3.5 volts, is my VCC. This voltage do not fluctuate, it's always constant. So in that way, my VCC is found out. And for transmitter and receiver, it's like the voltage of transmitter is very close to the highest voltage, that is 3.5, but it is always fluctuating. So the high value that is fluctuating is my transmitter, and for receiver that value is a bit less than 3.5, like it's 3.3 something, and it's also fluctuating. So in that way we identify all these ports of the UART. So the next is the okay, introduction to bus pirate. So this term may be new to most of you because it's something hardware related, and we don't study much about hardwares. So it's a hardware tool that is used for interfacing with devices. So this device, this bus pirate, is basically designed for programming, debugging, analyzing the microcontrollers. So in our case, we are using Bus Pirate for kind of hardware hacking purpose. And Bus Pirate uses a serial terminal for interfacing with devices via protocols such as SPI, I2C, and UART. So here, Bus Pirate has got in all 11 modes in which it can work, like examples are here, SPI I2C, but it has got 11 other modes. So when I configure, means when I select that UART mode, my bus pirate act like a UART device. So means, as the previous slide show, that there are two UART devices. So bus pirate is one of my UART device, and router is my second UART device. Okay. Um, so this is how the bus pirate looks like. It's by Dangerous Prototype and version 4. It has got 12 pinouts and each has got a labeling. You can just visit the site in order to know more. And here's the connection. We just required three connections. The ground is connected to ground, transmitter to meso, means master and slave out, and receiver to mosi. And it's so obvious that when bus pirate is transmitting something, the router needs to receive. And when router is transmitting, the bus pirate needs to receive. That's how the communication works. So the next slide shows PuTTY as a serial communication medium. See, we have got router that works on serial communication, serial transmission. So I used a bus pirate as a bridge between my router and my laptop. And this PuTTY act as a bridge between my um, software bridge between my bus pirate and the laptop so that I can see all the results that I'm getting. Um, Here's a link to a full write-up of this whole demonstration that I'm showing. So next is all the demo session, not the thank you one. Okay, so I'll just open up Putty. Okay, so I'll go to serial. So serial is for serial communication, and I'll write the serial line con3, means when I connect my bus pirate to the laptop, it has got its port initialized that can be found out in the device managers local port, and then you'll find the con3 initialized, and we'll set the baud speed to 115200. That's the speed with which my laptop is going to communicate with the bus pirate. And here I'm not using any flow control, so I'll do is just none and open up the connection, and it open up the connection in HIZ mode. That's the high impedance mode of the bus pirate. This is the default mode. High impedance here signifies that um, means any kind of voltage fluctuation or high voltage may not damage my bus pirate. So in that case, it's always the default mode. And you can type in question mark to see all the commands that it supports. So I type in M, that says the mode. Where is M? Yeah, change mode. So I'm just typing in M. So I get 11 modes that the bus pirate supports. So as you all know, we are working on UART. So it's selecting the third option, that is the UART. So now we are required to set the port speed. Now, I'll do this 11, and the reason why I do this is I don't know that at what speed my router might be transmitting and receiving. So I just want to configure my bus pirate in such a way that the baud rate are not mismatched. Means if I choose any other option other than 11, I'll get results obviously, but that results won't be human readable. So in order to prevent that, I'm using auto baud detection that states that the receiving and transmitting speed for both the UART devices will be same, so that we can see means results in some readable form. Okay, so next all the parameters will just be the default, and it works well. Means the data frame will be of 8-bit and we are not using any kind of parity. Then the stop bit also default, polarity default, this one also default, open brain. And here it says clutch disengaged. And it says that we need to type in capital W in order to start the power. Means in bus pirate, it's like to give the power, to supply the power, we need to, means it's done using command line. Okay. So when I type in W, it says waiting activity. So I just need to restart my router. Here I have powered on my router, and the time I press in capital W, I just need to restart my router so that the activity is encountered and it calculates the bot. Okay, so now it says my clutch is engaged, and okay, now it comes in my UART mode. So I'll type, oh, sorry. This is macro menu. Macro menu are the pre-built functions in the UART mode that we can run in order to get our desired results. So we have got four macros. The first one is the transparent bridge that I'll be using, and it creates a serial USB communication. Okay, so I'll just type in the one macro, and it says are you sure, and I'll just do a Y. Oh, I don't know why it didn't work. I'll have to do it once again. And M3 11. Okay, so finally it has worked. So this is the booting process of the router, and you can see different interfaces being initialized, and NTP daemon has started. Okay, so as you can see there, hash means we have got my file system, and when I type in ls means my normal uh, Linux command line. You can see things like bin, dev, etc, something like that. So we have got the router shell without even typing in the password. So that's something I love about this demonstration. And not just means when I go to directories like temp, I can create my own files. Means if I do um, start Shreya and say, hey, and when I again do a cat, I can see. Means I'll I'm just able to write in anything. So what's the benefit of this? When I get in the Linux file system, what I can do is the next step is I can just retrieve the firmware. I can build a new malicious firmware that contains the backdoor. Means anything. Means I can do anything to the firmware now, and I can rebuild that firmware and flash it again into the flash chip. And if suppose it's not your router, means you were accessing someone else's router, so using that backdoor you can gain control over it anytime. So that's the best not the best part, means you can do something like that. That's the option when you get the physical access to the device. So this that's all for this demonstration. And okay, so any questions? Please unmute.
Let me check if there are any questions for you.
Okay, okay.
Meanwhile, you can summarize the whole step because some people have joined a little late.
Okay. The basic purpose of the demonstration was to analyze firmware that is not available on Google. Means when we do a Google search, you'll not get a firmware. Means we have got tools like Benwalk that do exactly the same thing in just one command. But what if you don't have the firmware? Then how you do all the later stuff? So for that, we require the physical access to the device, and using Bus Pirate as a hardware tool, we are able to communicate with that device, and at last we get the file system. So I hope everyone gets me. So are there any questions?
I don't see anything in the chat at the moment, but I'll keep.
Okay, if anyone has got any kind of question, they can reach out to me at Twitter. I'll be happy to help and happy to answer any of their queries.
Great. Thank you so much for the session, Shreya. Now
Thank
I'll
you.
hand it over to our Jasmin. Over to you, Jasmin.
Okay, I've unmuted. Where is the share?
Okay, it's on the left hand side. If you see a green icon,
Okay,
yes, that's a screen share.
okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can see your
Yes.
screen.
Okay. So hello, my name is Jasmin Jackson, and my talk is on the importance of penetration testing education. So a little bit about me. I'm originally from the Bay Area, Berkeley, California. I currently reside in Charlotte, North Carolina. I have my master's in computer science and a graduate certificate in information security and privacy from UNC Charlotte. I'm the assistant organizer of the OWASP Charlotte chapter, and I currently have a couple of certifications from SANS and currently working on the OSCP. The reason why I list this is because it's going to be relevant later in my talk, and I currently work as a penetration tester. So I created a blog called Passion for Pen Testing. I created the blog in 2012, and the reason why I created the blog was I've always had an interest in information security, and I found that I was in a conundrum of companies were companies would tell me, well, we want someone with experience. And I had just recently graduated with my master's a year prior, and companies were saying we want someone with experience, and I'm like, but I just graduated, so I don't really have a lot of experience. So I created the blog as an online portfolio to show my skills in web application security through write-ups. So basically, I would do. CTFs or computer challenges and show how I would gain root in those challenges as an online portfolio. Also, the blog is used to teach the absolute beginner about information security and find cost effective training options. Because, as much as I love information security, the training can be very expensive. And so, my blog, I try to find cost effective ways to get the same training without paying thousands of dollars. So, some of the cost effective training courses. The first is Pen Tester Lab, and it's at pentesterlab.com. They have an array of badges. So, um, a, an essential badge, which gets you started with information security, an Android badge that teaches you and mobile pen testing with Android, capture the flag, etc. This training is $19.99 a month, and they also have um, a special where if you pay for a year, you get 2 months free. And they also have a boot camp version, which is for, once again, the absolute beginner to get them up and running, learning about Linux, Windows, uh, scripting, shell scripting, and that option is free. Next, we have Over the Wire at overthewire.org. And how their website is set up is there are different war games and different topics, Unix, web security. I found this very helpful. When I was starting in my journey, InfoSec journey, because the challenges were really unique, fun, and some of them were extremely hard. This training is free, so for this you don't have to pay. The next is Hack the Box. And with Hack the Box, what's really great about that is it's similar to the OSCP, the Offensive Security Certified Professional certification. I'm currently studying for that now. And so this website is very good because it preps you for that exam because they have different labs. And the cool thing is you need to hack the registration to actually obtain the product key to actually join the site. So I found that pretty cool. It was really fun. And this is free. So Hack the Box is free. Next, we have Vulnerable by Design, Vuln and so Bone Hub has different machines, different vulnerable machines with different levels of difficulty, easy, medium, and hard. A lot of these are boot to root, meaning you boot the premises, you boot the machine to gain root. Um, these are very fun, and I really like the boot to roots, and this is free. Next, you have Pico CTF. With Pico CTF, it's intended for high school students, but all are welcome. Only the high school students portion will be graded and ranked, but everyone is welcome. And I have write ups from Pico CTF on my blog, Passion for Pen Testing. And there are different categories: forensics, web security, etc. And this is free. And then finally, OWASP. OWASP have different projects, Juice Shop, Security Shepherd, that are useful for hacking and also good for people who are interested in information security and want to get started. And once again, this is free. So my talk was basically I know it's short, and it was just basically going over the different options for penetration testing, education, cost effective ways. As I said, this training could really add up. So, this presentation was more so finding cost effective ways for people who are interested and want to get started in information security, who might be daunted by the price or don't know where to get started. I hope that the links that I provided will provide some guidance, and also my light shameless plug with my blog, Passion for Pen Testing. I hope people visit my blog as well. And that's all I had. And I wanted to know if people had questions. And I'll Vendaya, if you're talking, I can't hear you.
I was talking on mute.
Okay.
There's one question which right now someone has.
Yes.
So probably they are asking to share your slides. And
Okay.
apart from that, there's one question for
Yes.
Shreya. That is there any other software besides Putty you can use to communicate between the devices or any okay, go ahead.
I didn't explore much upon that. Means any software that offers serial communication, we can use that. Means I found Putty to have means much of the functionality, so I didn't explore much upon. But I guess just a sec. If they are using Ubuntu, for that also Putty is available. But if you want command line, for that I'll answer just a second. It's something GTK, but I don't remember the exact name, so I'll just Google. Um, I don't remember the. Yeah, GTK term for Linux. If they are using Linux, they can use GTK term. But I guess Putty is much comfortable. Means it has got UI, and you're not required to do much. So why to go for any other option? I think. But yes, GTK term is another if you are working on Linux. Right. Hello?
Hi, Jasmine. There is another question for you.
Sorry, my cat. You might see my cat. Yes. What's the question?
Okay, so at the moment, what are the relevant certifications needed to become a pen tester?
Wow. Oh, that's a good question. The ones that I've seen are, the first is SANS GWAP, and that's the web application penetration tester. certification, which is through SANS. So that's one that I've noticed. Another is the OSCP, which is the Offensive Security Certified Professional, and that's through offensive security. So also, oh, sorry, and then the final one is GMOB. So that's the mobile. I can't think of the acronym, but it's through SANS, and that's the mobile penetration testing. Those are the three that I mostly see when I see job descriptions are usually those
Mhm.
three certifications.
Okay. And how about any free certifications that people can do?
Excuse me. Free certifications that I'm not sure of. All of the certifications that I know cost, and that's the unfortunate part. I really don't know of any free certifications at this time. That's something that I will definitely research and come back to the group because right now I don't know of any.
And what about Cybrary?
Oh, yes.
I guess it gives free certification.
Oh yeah, Cybrary. Yes, that's correct. Cybrary is a free information security platform where you can take classes. Yes, I forgot about them.
Okay. That's great. Um, Apart from that, you've mentioned about certain courses, um,
Hmm.
right? So when we say when we talk about the free courses, uh,
Hmm.
what should be the step-by-step approach to become a pen tester?
So I guess the first thing I would say is which sector of pen testing do you want to do? I focus mainly on web application security pen testing, but again, there's mobile pen testing, there's different flavors. So first figure out which flavor or flavors you want to do. And then from there, I would target courses and training specific for that flavor. Also, I would join meetups and go to conferences
Mhm.
because the marriage is while you have the training, you also need to network and meet people. Because when you do this and you start talking with people, someone might say, "Hey, we're looking for a pen tester. Send me your resume." So it's good to network with industry professionals in your field to kind of give you that leg up. Training, and then I would have some online portfolio, blog, whatever that demonstrates your skills. Because with a lot of companies, they want to see you actually apply the skills that you know.
Mhm. Okay, so you're saying a good networking is mandatory.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So now we know that we do have meetup groups across the globe.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yes.
One second, I think let me just unmute mute the rest of the people because I can see a lot of noise.
Okay. Come on, Sasha. Come on, come on.
Okay, so we do have a lot of meetup groups, especially when we talk about OWASP. OWASP has a meetup group across the globe, and we want more women to be participating in there. If you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to us, wherein we can guide you that who is the chapter leader and can bridge the gap so that you can be part of that chapter. As Jasmine mentioned that she's part of Charlotte chapter. So I'm part of Bangalore chapter, and then Shreya is part of Bhopal chapter. Zoe is part of New York chapter. Geeta is part of Delhi chapter. So it's like we all are in different geographies, different states, and every state. if you see that there's no chapter in your area, then we can actually come up with a new chapter and can bring in more women together. If there is this issue with a space, we can talk with different companies to get the space. And apart from that, we also do monthly tech talks. So this month, this is the webinar or the tech talk wherein we discussed about two topics. So every month we have these tech talks. Apart from that, we also give free training as part of Women in AppSec um, and InfoSec Girls. We've given it at certain conferences, colleges, and we also do online training. We've also started. So the pilot batch would be going this month end with the University of Minnesota. We would be giving free training to the students of University of Minnesota so that they can be part of the bigger OWASP chapter, and it'll be a support from OWASP Women in AppSec. And OWASP actually do not charge for any of the meetups. It's all free. It's a community wherein all the researchers, the newbies, the people who are actually enthusiastic about security can contribute and can leverage from the security people who are there in the industry for long. Like Jasmin has been talking about the web application penetration testing, and Shreya talked about iOS pen testing. So we do have OWASP web application top 10, which you can leverage. And then we also have iOS top 10, which was recently released. So you can refer to that as well. Apart from that, there are multiple other top 10 lists which you can go through. Okay, yeah, we also have one more question for you, Jasmin. How important is Python in pen testing? Or how often do you see people using Python during pen test?
Oh, wow. Python is really, excuse me, scripting, learning a scripting language is important in general because it will automate, you can automate a lot of your tasks. And by doing scripting, during my penetration engagements, I see Python used quite a lot. I love Python, so that's why I got excited. But yes, I see Python used a lot, and it will be a good skill to have in your repertoire. And also, I wanted to clarify. I went to Cybrary, and while the training is free, I'm not sure if the certs are free as well. I haven't done a search on Cybrary, but I was looking, and it seemed like the search you might have to pay. But I will look more into that. I know the training is free, but I'm not sure about the certs.
Thank you. I think to get started, the training is the must. Then comes the
Yes,
certification.
right, right.
Right. And probably, I think the Python, how to bridge Python and security can be a good combination, because you can build a tool, you can automate the application. And now we've been talking about the DevOps, the DevSecOps, wherein you need a lot of automation. So that can also, it can be an add-on. It is not mandatory, but it'll be an add-on. Right. Um, Also, let me see if there are any questions. Uh, so, I would suggest, Jasmine, if you can just summarize what you have covered by sharing your slides again, then we can just wrap up the session. If meanwhile, we'll just wait for a couple of more questions.
Okay, so
Someone just said that they want to share, they want to see your slides.
yes, can you see them now? Can you see my slides now?
Oh, yes, I can see
Okay.
it.
Okay, so the summarization of my talk was basically explaining, providing cost effective training courses to get into penetration testing. Um, as I said, I have certs. A full disclaimer: my job paid for all of my certs, because while I love SANS, it can be pricey for the certs, and if you go on site to do the training. So my presentation was basically showing cost effective ways for people who are interested in penetration testing to get started. And let me go. So this is the first slide where I mentioned the cost-effective training courses, Pen Tester Lab, Over the Wire, Hack the Box. Next, Vulnerable by Design, Pico CTF, and of course OWASP. Um, there are so many resources out on the internet for people to get started. And I know when I was getting started in 2012, it was daunting because it was so much, and I didn't know where to start. So that's why, when the question was asked, well, how do you get started? And the first thing I said was figure out, which flavor you want. If you want web app, if you want mobile, if you want IoT, figure that out first, because there's a wealth of knowledge, and if you try to learn it all, um, it will consume you. Definitely, you should be able to talk to certain categories like web app or mobile, but the key thing is to figure out which course you want to go, and then find training in that path. And then from there, once you have the training, I would say once you are training, set up an online blog or something that you can use as a portfolio to show the application. So I know a lot of times, hiring managers, you'll have a phone interview where it's just general information security topics. And then, the second interview could possibly be they give you a vulnerable application, and they want you to actually do a penetration test. So by having the portfolio, it gives them an idea of your strengths, and then they'll know, okay, well, I'm looking at Jasmine's blog, and I see, she focuses on web app, and I've seen her, gain roots on multiple machines. So that kind of gives you a leg up when you go into the application part of the interview. So basically, once again, to summarize, my presentation was just providing cost effective training courses for people who are interested in penetration testing. As I said, I know it can be daunting when you're beginning on this path, but as I tell people, stay with it because it is extremely fun and extremely rewarding. But I know how it can be when you're first starting out, and you can be discouraged because it seems like you're not gaining any traction, but you are. So just stay the course. And I don't know if the presentations are saved to a particular website, but I'm okay with sharing my slides with the participants of the meeting. So just let me know how I need to do that.
Okay,
And thank you.
oh, thank you. You can share it with me, and I will post it on the LinkedIn group that we have. Like, we'll post it on SlideShare, and we'll send it to everybody. It'll be public.
Okay. Okay.
And same goes with Shreya. Shreya, you can share your presentation, and we can share it with the rest of the participants. And also, there's one more thing that the YouTube link that has been given to everyone. This is recorded and shared across so that whosoever has missed it, they can view it and they can take help from it.
Yes.
And we really look forward to collaborate with you in future to give trainings to the women who are really enthusiastic about security and they want to get started in security, and the ones who are already in security and want to be involved in application security and IoT pen testing.
Sure.
Great. So it was a great session with both of you, and I'm sure we've answered most of the questions. Let me just go back and see if there are any more questions in the chat box. Okay, so yes, we do have. So do companies hire pen testing consultants, and how many years of experience do you need to be a consultant? So I think that's for you, Jasmin.
Yes. For consulting, it's myriad a variety of years. I've seen some consulting companies. I'm hearing background noise, so that's why.
I just
Yeah,
muted
that's why I stopped.
yeah, I just muted somebody.
Okay. So for the consulting companies, it varies. I've seen some companies where they're looking for people with a couple years experience. I've seen others where they're looking for 5 to 7. It really depends. I know for a junior role, they're probably looking for someone with a year or two experience. And then, of course, as the more senior you go, the more experience they require. So it just depends. As I said, I've seen 2, I've seen 5, 5 to 7. Those are pretty much the standard numbers that I've seen.
Oh, okay. That's great. I think that's a good number, but but I have seen that most of the companies have started bringing more women, and they really want women to grow, and they have designed their own courses as well within the company. And if still anybody wants to have more knowledge and wants some session, we all are very open. You can reach out to all of us any point of time and we'll be happy to help. There are a lot of amazing mentors. We can redirect you to the mentors who are there. You can actually join the OWASP Slack channel as well, wherein we have a section for mentors, and you can just post that I want a mentor, and then you can see that amazing people are coming forward and saying that we can mentor you. And also we are as always available for any type of help that you require in your career, especially the security field, and feel free to reach out to us. So that I think we are good to close the session for today. It was a very fruitful session. It was more of a discussion wherein we discussed about iOS pen testing, web application security, getting started with web application security, and also how it is important as a career, that how companies hire the security professional, and if it's a fresher, just the fresh college pass out, do companies hire? And there's another thing uh, that now the companies have started giving internships, security internships, that the companies are aware about that, how security is important, and so they've started giving internships to the college students, so that when they are in college they know what security is, how much information security, data security, application security is important for an organization, for a college, for an individual also. So I think we're good to close on this note, but just want to hear from the speakers if they have anything to say.
It's so good that companies are doing internships now because, as I said, when I graduated, that really wasn't the case. So I'm glad they're moving in that direction to give students the opportunity to get their feet wet in information security and to give them practical experience for when they graduate. They can move on into their career. So thank you for that. I didn't know that, but thank you.
Thank you. How about you, Shreya?
I just watched this webinar and it was just amazing. Taking it means I was just wondering that what it would be just to talk in front of slides, but it's not at all an issue. So I just enjoyed it. That's all.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, both of you are amazing speakers, and we really look forward to work with you in the future so that we can bring more women, and even not just women, but more security power into the industry so that we can secure the companies, the colleges, and overall security. We can embed security in the whole cycle. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, everyone. I will just stop the broadcast.